First game in the books, and now it's time for the Violets to hit the ground running and carry the momentum here into the third game in today's quadruple header of the Scholars Classic. Alongside Joseph Kwan, my name is Liam Restivo, and we're back here at the brand new Paulson Center for this matchup where the NYU Violets men's basketball team will be taking on the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. And we have a good one here today, Joseph, as both of these teams are ranked in the top 25. NYU ranked 9th, while Johns Hopkins is ranked 12th. And both of these teams are coming off of wins in their respective season openers. NYU coming off their win on Wednesday against the Manhattanville Valiants. And that one, they did come out 77-60, but that's not to say there were some growing pains. Spencer Friedman said they had some first-game jitters in that one, Joseph.
Yeah, absolutely. NYU just simply didn't shoot the ball well. They struggled behind the arc and in the field in general. But talking about some positives, Spencer Friedman did go 4-for-7 behind the arc, along with Michael Savarino, who went 3-for-7. So those two players were key behind the arc and leading the team shooting in the perimeter. Yeah,
we also saw some bench depth as NYU had 16 points off the bench, and NYU won by 17, so that eventually was able to give them the win. They also had 46 points in the paint, which was one of the most amount of points that they had for the entirety of last season as well. They already are highlighting that they don't need to shoot from behind the perimeter and they can rely interiorly on the offense as well.
Right.
They also had a plus 11 second chance point margin, which is something NYU struggled with. They couldn't bring in those offensive rebounds and be able to put it back up. And speaking of rebounds, they had a 23 rebound margin, which is the most that they have had. They had last season. They had 23 in the last game, and it just shows you that the height that NYU has acquired is paying off for them.
Yes, and Quinn Clark went 8 points and 13 rebounds, and he was really a force, getting those offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds and leveraging the size that NYU has.
Yeah, some of the negatives that NYU has to work on looking back at last game. Again, they didn't shoot up to their potential, shooting only 35% from the field and not shooting well from three either, only 25%. And last season, they averaged around 47% from three, so they were lights out from there, just not able to get it done here in the Paulson Center. But as we said before, they came out with the win, and now they're going up against a really big ranked opponent, Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, as we said before, ranked 12th in D3 preseason polls last season. They were 9th in D3 in holding opponents to points per game. They only allowed 61 points per game, a fantastic defensive squad, and also only held opponents to 38% from the field. So NYU not only coming off sort of a rough shooting performance, but they're going up against a very difficult team who pushes and pressures the offense.
It's a very strong team, the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. They went 25-5 last season, and they made it to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. So a lot of confidence coming into the Paulson Center is this Blue Jays team.
Yeah, NYU's going to have to hold on to the ball because the last game that Johns Hopkins played, they had 19 points off of turnovers.
Yes.
So NYU cannot allow those turnovers to get ahead of them because that's how they'll lose this game here. But, Joseph, before we head out, what are some keys to success for NYU to come out on top in this one against a big ranked opponent?
Yeah, NYU has to clean up a little. They had 15 turnovers last game, and if they want to play with higher level basketball, they have to clean it up and get the glass as well. Clean the rebounds and attack the paint with a lot of pressure. And Spencer Friedman's going to have a massive game. He has to lead this team offensively and lead the charge against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and hopefully NYU is going to be able to play with this crowd behind us because, boy, it is packed here. This is the largest crowd that NYU has seen in a couple of years because they've been playing at the Brooklyn Athletic Facility, which had a very small capacity, and now we have a full student section. We have a full crowd here today, so NYU will hopefully bounce off of the energy that NYU faithful gives to them and come out with the win.
And adding on to that, they want to come out early so they can get the crowd's energy going and use the energy to their advantage and push the Blue Jays early on.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to do that. And we were able to catch up with a couple of players for the NYU Violets. We were able to talk to Hampton Sanders and Cinque Stevens for a pregame interview, so we'll take a look at that. But before that, a big thank you to Joseph for this pregame interview. We'll see you once the game starts.